Good evening, everyone. Sano Star Saber here once again. It's been a few weeks, maybe a few months since the last time I've done a YouTube video here for our team, and that's a lot of personal reasons. Not a lot of demand has been brought up, but I wanted to, by request, I wanted to take another look at Ishmael Baalzemon's roster and kind of give him some pointers to kind of further hone his farming techniques and to better attune where he's focusing his time and efforts. So what doesn't happen is he doesn't wind up spreading himself too thin and pursuing a lot of different things, but really accomplishing nothing. So I'm just gonna go ahead and preface this. We're in a little bit different meta than we used to be. Previous metas, there was a lot less meta diversity, meaning there was a lot fewer teams that actually could get to the top spot. Now I wanted to show you right now, I am actually, as you can tell, in the number one spot here. And I did not do that with the Jedi Anakin team. As you can see, they exist. There's some Revan. There's a lot of that within my arena shard. You can see lots of different teams that get to the top, and a lot of them are fully decked out with seven-star General Anakin Skywalker teams. So there's a lot of different solutions to get to the hole. You can see some Grievous lineups. There's a lot of different people using a lot of different things. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Now, the General Anakin Skywalker by far is the hardest one for most people to beat these days, but it takes a while to get there. So that's not something that you necessarily want to just drive towards unless you are convinced you are getting close to the goal of having a 7-star all Zeta relic team, and until then you're very easily in a position to get there with other teams. As you can see, I'm using a Padme team, very versatile, covers a lot of bases. And one of the questions you asked, ships, where should I focus my efforts? Focusing on this team here has helped my ship situation significantly. As you can see, I have a 5-star negotiator. I'm currently in the number 4 spot, and I fully intend at the hour of my payout to move up to the number 1 spot here, which is coming next hour. But and I don't think I'm gonna have a lot of issues, and a lot of that's because I've spent so much time investing into my Padme team, and also I've happened to have in my roster. Oops. I also have a 5 relic 5s, and I even have a Plo Koon, which is actually one of the key Jedis specifically because of his function on this team. I also have him at gear 12. So my team performs very well. And one of your questions was what team to use. This is an option. When I pursue my arena, I always go in with a team that consists of Houndstooth, 5s, Ahsoka, or Jedi Anakin, Ahsoka, Clone Trooper, and Plo Koon. And now having a 5-star negotiator puts me at a little bit of a disadvantage, but it's compensated for heavily in the fact that I have relics on Bosk. I have at least a few. I can't remember where I'm at with Bosk. Just a second here. Yeah, I'm at Relic 5 with Bosk. I'm at Relic 7 with Kenobi, Relic 7 with Ahsoka, Relic 7 with Jedi Anakin, and again, 5s is up there, and Plo Koon's also pretty up there. So that team's been very competitive for me, even against 7-star teams, which are primarily what I find in my arena. You can see 7-star, 7-star, 7-star. I'm currently the only 5-star within the top 5, I'm pretty certain. And you can see that I actually have to climb through a lot of 7-star negotiators to get there. And I do it every night. I mean, I've hit number 1 consistently for several weeks now, so it's very doable. And from what I understand from YouTube videos, Malevolence doesn't hold up very well on defense. So my plug is, for now, probably is to focus the negotiator as the near-term solution for you. Now, looking at your rosters and what you have to play with here. I had an opportunity earlier. I see you're using something different because it's what's strongest, I take it. So I'm going to go ahead and bring down your inventory. I just have to get to it. So you're using Tarkin, you're using and a team that's associated around your Tarkin, which makes sense because your 7-star Tarkin is a lot stronger than maybe your endurance. Well, endurance isn't used for much anyway, but your home one, which is 5-star. So you've made a workable team. Doesn't appear that you um, have Thrawn's ship either. So you're kind of limited in what you can work with. So the fact that you're sitting there at, I think it was 69, 88 right now, but I think you were at 69 earlier, is pretty impressive in itself that you're reaching that advanced status with what's quite frankly a pretty antiquated crew. Now, working towards the future, the first thing I would focus your efforts on is your Houndstooth. Your Houndstooth is already built up pretty good. You want to add some reinforcement abilities to that, because there are some lineups that actually utilize the Houndstooth as a reinforcement. And you want to build up Bosk to relic status, preferably relic 7 eventually. And that actually will help you in several different facets. It'll help you in Grand Arena. It'll help you in Territory Wars. Bounty Hunters are pretty versatile in general. You're not going to go wrong in getting eventually to 7-star Bosk. So that's one of my recommendations there. And as far as your other ships go, you're going to have to invest some time in getting Anakin's Ada to up to 7-star. If you want to make that work, you're going to want to focus either on your Clone Sergeant or your Y-Wing, possibly both. You'll want to focus on your Plo Koon Jedi Starfighter. That's been extremely essential to my ability to get a 5-star victory against a 7-star team, because what Plo Koon does, that's very important for you to understand, and you'll want to beef up Plo Koon himself as well, is when he's fully decked out, this will not only recover the 20% health and protection, but it'll clear all debuffs. So negotiator fights are very daze heavy, and since they're very daze heavy, you are going to need a way to clear those buffs. Plo Koon does that for you. So build on his ship, build on his ship level, build on Plo Koon's level, get that all the way up to 7 stars and fully decked out, and you can use a negotiator team successfully. And whether it be the Clone Sergeant or your Y-Wing, I would focus one, not both. But you'll want to bring one of those 2 to 7-star, and that'll give you a good starting team. And 5s on Bar and Starfighter. You've got a lot of work to do on 5s if you want to make this team work. So those are going to be some focus areas. You're doing pretty well, because I noticed in your inventory before, you have a lot of the team already decked out at relic status. 7-star Jedi Anakin, 2 relic General Kenobi, 2 relic Ahsoka Tano. You want to keep beefing those up, because that will make your ships more faster, more durable, and that's what you'll be able to utilize. And the reason I don't mention Malevolence is you're climbing on Grievous, you don't have any Zetas, you don't have a lot invested in him yet. Lower gear status. I mean, it may not hurt. You may go to 5-star Negotiator and then start working on 5-star Malevolence, because, I mean, I can show people I can win on a 5-star Negotiator versus a 7-star. It's really not that difficult, but you really have to have prepared your team adequately, and you have some work to do, and that's especially going to fall under 5s, which I believe you have all the way down here, at very low gear status. You'll want to deck him out as much as you can. You're going to need to bring up your Plo Koon, which is also somewhere in the lower areas. So if you want to do that, you're going to need to bring those 2 up as much as you can. So you're going to have to gear focus those sometime near in the future. Rex is a nice to have, but that's more of a gas team. You're not going to be able to fit all of your reinforcement slots on a Negotiator, And currently, I don't use Rex, and what I found is I don't really need him in the ship's lineup. So that's important to understand. So, as a starting point, I would focus on first of all your Houndstooth. Your Houndstooth is versatile in tons of lineups right now. The only thing I don't think it's utilized heavily is maybe the Negotiator lineup, but since I don't see too many Negotiator lineups in general, I wouldn't worry about it too much until maybe later on down the pike when Clone Wars, the series, comes out and more characters are released. Now, as far as your working elsewise, your question was whether to focus new teams, focus new relics, whatnot. That's totally situationally based. I would definitely, like I mentioned, work on your Bosk. Get him up to relics, gear 13 status, give him some relics. That's going to be one that will serve you pretty well. You're doing in the overall fairly decent. You're at 69. That would be worse at 69. 69 at your arena rank. I mean, could be better, I think, with a Malik team, especially a 7 relic Malik. You might be able to achieve more. Now, maybe your arena shards like mine, it's filled up with a lot of relic 7s, and that's understood. So that may be a modding factor. It may be some other factors. Now, keep in mind, Geonosian Broodolph is actually a very good replacement for a uh, a Sith Trooper in your arena team. In fact, it's a little more difficult for my Padme team to take out. I usually have to swap R2 in for Ahsoka, and it's a lot more RNG centric than than your Sith Trooper would be. Because the problem with Sith Trooper, at least for a Padme lineup, and I think for other lineups in general, um, people can focus on your Sith Trooper and just knock him out first, and that'll clear your taunt on Malik generally. And what you really want to do with your team is you want to buff him out as much as you can. I see you put some speed on him, and looks like a lot of protection. Looks like I think you've been gearing him smartly, from what I can tell, and putting a lot of protection, health, things like that on him to try to make him as beefy as possible and as fast as possible. That's what I see most people doing right now. Um, so I don't think you're doing the wrong thing, and I don't use a Malik team myself in any usual capacity. I actually don't have a 7-star Malik yet, so I've been somewhat limited in my ability to speak towards the performance of that. But I mean, you've put a lot of speed on Bastila, I can tell. Bastila Shan Fallen, you got her on 297. That's pretty darn impressive. That's pretty close to my Arena Shard level of speed on Bastila Shan Fallen. And as far as your Revan go, it looks like you put a lot of speed and other stats on him, and you got him not quite as fast. You might, if you can beef up that speed, that might be beneficial. Because usually Revan's one of the Darth Revan's usually one of the first ones out the gate on this team. Um, and as far as your HK goes, I think you look like you've been putting a lot of emphasis where it needs to be, which is primarily in bringing your damage statistics up. You have, I mean, I would look at crit damage and bringing that up if you can. I would look at bringing the offense up to bring that damage higher. But, I mean, I think you're going the right way. Just try to bring up as much damage stats. In fact, sometimes the slowest HK 47s can be the foil of a lot of teams because he can throw his little grenade and clear a lot of his Havoc grenade, and it clears a lot of stuff, and it just makes things a lot of very interesting, at least from a Padme team's perspective, which I've been using a lot on offense. Excuse me for that. Sorry about that phone call. Evidently, my bank's been trying to reach me about something, probably a payment on one of my credit cards, but we'll move on from that. That's all personal stuff. So, now looking at things, you have some diversity here. I don't know if you've been using that effectively, but you have very competitive other team to take on offense as well, and you got a lot of the Zetas as well. In fact, I would say you have pretty much all the Zetas you need to make this team effective, which is your Padme team. Something I've been using very effectively. You don't need the Grandmaster's Guidance Zeta for Yoda. If you have been using it, that's fantastic. A lot of recommendations I would be putting here. Make your Jedi Anakin faster, which you haven't. I would try to speed him up a lot. That'll help you get a little more competitive. You have been adding offense to him, which is fantastic. You want him to do a lot of damage. Um, I can see it being competitive. I would just look at making it faster and using stats. Maybe not crit chance. The problem with crit chance is you face a lot of Malaks along the way, and actually a lot of Padme teams and a lot of other things on the way where you don't really get a lot of crit off. Crit damage, maybe. Crit chance actually hurts you on Malik because that will cause him to be feared more, so that's just something to be aware of. Now, if you take that lineup to the tippy top, you'll want to make General Kenobi fast, actually. You got him, looks like tanky. You didn't make him real fast. Actually, something by comparison here, taking a look at my General Kenobi, and remember, I'm currently sitting at number 1 in my arena shard with. You can see I actually added some health and some speeds stats. I have 121 speed in my General Kenobi. He's set to be very fast, and that just happens to work that way. And he has a pretty good, solid base of health too, 75,000. So if you decide to use that team, it definitely works in your favor. Padme is, believe it or not, kind of a flat out tank in some lineups. Now I actually got 2 settings. I got 2 mod arrangements for her. I have one that's based totally on making her really fast and not as tanky, and a one that's focused on, which is this one, and a Padme slow, which is definitely not as fast. In fact, she's very slow. You can see she drops from 293 to 18 speed, but she becomes a lot tankier in the process. That's what I usually set up when I'm on defense. Since I'm already at number 1, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. Now, I use C-3PO in my lineup. Grandmaster Yoda is another one I see a lot. In fact, I think the second person in my shard right now has Yoda in his lineup. And I'll show you what he's doing with that. So he's got decent level speed here. Not necessarily a lot. You can see he's got offense and health sets, which makes sense for Padme. You want to make him tankier, and you want him to build a lot of courage. And you can see he's got a decent amount of damage addition from offense. He's got, he doesn't really do anything with this crit damage, which kind of makes sense in the way he's utilizing him. But it's very possible to make a very competitive Padme team using a lineup you already have a lot of the essential components of. And then you can see this is number 2 for me, for my lineup. So if he can do it, that's probably something that's within your reach too, in the not too far away term. And that's going to help you work towards that negotiator team, which I can tell you've already built a lot of the characters up. Now you just need to build the fleet. So looking back at your roster once again, so you got a good Darth Revan lineup. I would try to improve it. Watch as many videos as you can to find out how to improve upon it. The only way I can see doing that and being really competitive is getting all these relics at the tip top and becoming a mod master for all of those characters, and maybe utilizing your Brood Alpha there. Brood Alpha has been a very annoying team to beat on offense when it's replacing your Sith Trooper, so don't discount that possibility. Because I think it could make you a lot of gains in the overall, and also in Grand Arena where you want a little diversity anyway. So looking at all those things, I would say your 2 focus areas: keep building your Mallet team because that's still super competitive in the meta. Build up your Padme team some more because that's actually more effective against certain lineups. Very much more effective against Grievous Nuke teams. It can usually tank through a lot of his kill Ginsu 9000 blade spin moves that he does. and keep working that. And that'll help you build out your ship team. So actually, one of the priorities here should definitely be getting your um, relics as well on your General Kenobi and your Ahsoka Tano up to 7-star, because that will help both ends. You can do Yoda and Padme to an extent too, but that's not as urgent. I would try to gear 13 and relic your Bosk, and just keep working your Malak team. And those are, I would say, in the short term where you're going to get the most gains. That should kind of be your goal here. Try to get the most bang for your buck here. And I think you're pretty close on both fronts. You don't have a lot of work to do with your Malak. So if your Malak's getting your best results, keep using that. See if you can tweak the mods a little bit better to get Darth Revan, especially that speed. And just kind of see what your opponents at the top are using, with the ones who have a 7-star or a 7 relic Malak teams as far as mods are concerned, whether they had speed, offense, potency, all those things that make a Sith Empire team more effective, because that can go all the way even against a General Anakin Skywalker, which I think you're a long way off on that, quite candidly. So I wouldn't spend any specific amount of time losing sleep over getting that set up. And then working on that Padme team, because the Padme team makes a good negotiator team. And again, in the meantime, you're going to need to keep focusing on beefing up that fleet. So you're going to have to look at your Galactic Republic roster. You're going to have to drill it down to those ships. You're going to have to look what you got. Okay, so you got Umbar and Starfighter. You got to have 7 stars. Anakin's ETA, Eta-2, 7 stars. Plo Koon's Jedi Starfighter, 7 stars. And either the Clone Sergeant or the Y-Wing at 7 stars. You're going to have to figure out how to get there on all those ships. And then you'll have a competitive team that you can use very effectively on offense and take it all the way up to the top. So that's going to make you the most money on your fleets. So, I mean, to your big questions, whether you should diversify other teams, the only reason you should do that is to just improve your performance in Grand Arena. And you can only tackle so many at once. You got pretty good First Order, which there isn't a lot of demand for at this point. Despite the fact that we had Rise of Skywalker out for a few weeks now, almost a month, we haven't seen a lot of new content around First Order at this time. So until we see more, I wouldn't put a lot of your emphasis there. I would stick to the knowns that you have, which are your Darth Revan and your Padme teams. Excuse me. You can continue to work to an extent on your Jedi Knight Revan as well. Very competitive Grand Arena team still. I mean, we already mentioned Bosk ad nauseum. I would get that second Zeta on him as soon as possible and just make him as beefy as possible. Because if I was to rate things that should put the most focus, it's going to get the most bang for the buck in general, that's probably where you're going to get it, is Bosk, and making him a Gear 13 to Zeta character that you can start to add relics to, and you can use the Houndstooth much more viciously, because it'll take that much more to get through. A beefy Houndstooth always will help your situation in ships until they find a true counter where it becomes completely irrelevant, which I haven't seen yet. Other than that, just keep working your roster in general. Just gradually don't expend a lot of resources into turning your purple characters gold at the Gear 12. You're going to have to spend a lot. The problem with relics is you usually have to, there's a lot of give and take there. You usually have to give up some, especially at the higher relic levels, some really expensive gear pieces that you're trying to work on to get the mats for the relics. And that's just the way the game is played right now. So I would keep focusing, for the most part, on getting, again, your Bosk at Gear 13, adding relics to your Padme lineups, and whatever Darth Revan team you're using for the most versatility there. And then just kind of work your way down gradually. Keep working your GOs, because those will always be useful for your territory battles, dark side, and keep working on your other separatist characters for that same reason. But don't get so overwhelmed trying to get everything at once, because it's very easy to take all that you have here and try to do everything with it all in the same time. That's not really beneficial. You're pretty good I mean, a lot of your secondary teams that you use in the grand arenas and the territory wars are close to on par with mine, which, I mean, for a 2.4 roster versus something that's almost 3 million higher, or actually over 3 million higher, that's saying quite a lot. I mean, I still have, like I said, a 6-star Malik. I still have a Gear 11 Nihilus is another thing that distinguishes me here. I mean, I've got more in general. I mean, that's why it's so high. But a lot of my teams are not Gear 13 Relic 7 characters. In fact, other than Grievous and my Padme squad, that's really the only time I have. And I guess it might be one battle droid because I worked on that for the General Anakin Skywalker. But that's really the only time you see all that many decked out relics. And so you're just going to have to make sure that whatever your primary arena team is, and I would definitely consider making Padme a higher priority because with what you have, that might make more sense for you anyway, and might be able to focus it sooner. I mean, nothing's stopping you from working your Darth Revan, other than the fact that you don't really need it. You can get through a any team that's there with a Padme team and get all the way to the number one spot like I am right now. And similarly, um, you can take that team in your fleet arenas and you can take that all the way to the number one spot. So, and you can do that with a weaker negotiator than your competitors and comparable relic teams. So that would be my recommendation for the focus for the meantime. I think you'll get the most bang for your buck if you keep it focused to tunes that will help you towards both causes. So your Padme and your Bosk are definitely going to help you since you're very close there. Get your ships up online and then just get your negotiator in there. I mean, you may find an occasion in the future to get your since you can get the 5-star negotiator, maybe you'll want to get the 5-star negotiator and then start working the malevolence, then go back to negotiator when it's done, because that'll give you more versatility. And since you can win the 5-star negotiator anyway, that might work better for you. I mean, both of those are kind of ways off in the future because you have so much work to do on your fleet. I don't foresee your negotiator fleet becoming truly viable, and we'll scroll down again. Until you bring up all of your Galactic Republic inventory to 7-star ships, Gear 12 plus characters on those ships, or bringing your BTLY wing up to 7-star all abilities, because that's not dependent on any one character. That's an option, and that would be a quick replacement for your clone sergeant. So up to you which way is quicker. I mean, that might be the quicker route for you because you're going to be focusing a lot of your time bringing your platoon and your 5s and a lot of your tunes that you're working on for your regular arena back up to 7 stars. But I just want to keep it simple for you so you're not overwhelmed.